The A1 Poseidon carrier is a Navy carrier type unit with a rather heavy 3 chariot, 1 fuel and 1 equipment resource cost, and fairly long preparation time of 2 turns. It has no attack power, but it has quite decent 190 health. It has 1 ability and 1 asterisk ability that are as follows. Attach fighter. Attach 3 fighter forces from your arsenal to this. They are ready. Shuffle your arsenal. Reattach after every battle or they are eliminated. And an important asterisk ability that says can be specified for an attack by Navy and Air Forces. Let's go through these abilities in detail first. I will actually start from bottom this time around, since this is a rather unique thing. Normally, you are unable to attack forces on field unless you block with them. Then the battle triggers and the forces fight each other. You can only, as an attacker, target buildings, territories, and a leader if leader is compromised. However, carrier type of units, for example like this Poseidon carrier, have an asterisk that say that it can be specified for attacks by Navy and Air Forces. This means that you can attack this just like you would attack a territory, meaning you can use all your forces or just one unit if you so choose, and take this carrier out entirely from the game. So you don't have to use specific cards to get rid of it, you can just simply use brute force and take it out. The second ability is Attach Fighter, which lets you attach 3 fighter forces from your arsenal to this card, and they are ready. This means that you get to choose your arsenal for fighter cards. To remember, you are unable to play this ability using cards from your hand, they have to be in your arsenal. Also, you do not pay any costs related to these cards, so when you play those fighter planes, and they have no costs and they are immediately ready, so even if they have a preparation time, they will still be played face up. A couple of examples for fighter units we can find are these 6 units here, which all are notable in their unique way, but 2 of them are especially useful, 3 if you count Gemini. The AX Strike Fighter, especially Fire Force version, doesn't really use to any air unit in this game. It has 90 damage and 100 health, which is usually enough to tank everything except Gemini, but if you Fire Force this one, it can also win against Gemini. If you look at this Gemini here, you can see it has 100 damage and 40 health, and it generally just attacks first thanks to Finest ability, meaning it usually eliminates all its opponents before it takes damage. But Fire Force Air Strike Fighter can actually tank this 100 damage and take out Gemini. I definitely recommend you go for the Air Strike Fighters for the A1 Surge mechanic. Additionally, another card you should pay attention for is the A2 Nemesis, which is easy to remember since the carrier unit is A1 and this is A2. And this also has 90 damage and 90 health, but if you Fire Force it to 100, it can block almost any air force, including some ground units, as long as they don't have stealth, since that's anti-ground. So those 2 cards, if you search for them with the A1's Poseidon, are great defensive units against air and land units respectively. Also, there are some really good picks here. For example, the RR Purse here is able to basically eliminate any air force that blocks it. It doesn't matter how powerful it is. If it blocks this card, it's kind of out of the game. And of course, the Leo here is one of the few cards in the game that can do damage to evade units. Evade is a mechanic that basically prevents units from taking battle damage, so when 2 units face each other in battle, the one with evade doesn't usually take any damage and survives the fight, potentially blocking opponents indefinitely or just taking them out without any issue. But if those units face Leo, it will just completely ignores the evade aspect and will take out them normally. The Falcon R2 is also pretty decent, and the air unit, since it has crack shot and stealth mechanics, mean it will attack first in battle, so unless the opposing card has crack shot. This one is able to counter those pretty effectively before it takes any damage and gets eliminated. This selection here gives the A1 Poseidon extremely useful supplementary force amount it can take in the field to counter different situations, such as land forces, even air units, or even some of the most dangerous cards in the game. You can also use this card with the secure port building a card that increases the health of each navy force in your legion by 10, and has the mechanic that allows you to find a specific navy force in your arsenal, show it and put it to your legion, meaning that you can use this card to play the A1 Poseidon carrier free, but it takes 2 turns for this one to activate, and the Poseidon still has 2 turn preparation time. So even if you play this card on turn 1, you at best get the Poseidon up at your 5th turn. It's also a pretty dangerous card to play to the 3 moral cost. Additional useful card to use with the A1 Poseidon carrier is the Cloud Cannon, which boosts the health of air units for your turn and your opponent's turn, which is useful. And it also causes both legions to lose anti-air abilities, which allows some of your fighters to bypass opponents' land and navy-based anti-air units. It's going to be useful in some situations. Besides those combinations, one notable aspect of the A1 Poseidon carrier is that it has 190 health. If you take a look at all the navy forces in the game, especially ones that have 190 or more attack, just use the attack tab here. You'll notice that the only card that has 190 or more attack is the Kraken, which is unquestionably the most powerful navy card in the game, and the only other one that goes close is the General 6 at 180 damage. This means that despite the A1 Poseidon carrier can be attacked, there are not that many cards that are able to take it out with a single hit. It's also good to notice that all the bombers that would be able to do that do have that unique mechanic, like this Reaper here, that says that the bombs are unable to damage forces. It exactly says, can't block, can only damage buildings, territories, and leaders. This means that despite bombers being able to attack the Poseidon carrier, they don't actually do any damage to it. This means every time an opponent wants to take out your Poseidon carrier, they have to use more than one force, unless they have some sort of card that boosts their damage, like they could technically use Strategic Shift to boost the damage of the Noxus to take out your Poseidon. Also, Poseidon's 2-turn preparation time becomes a strength, since all the control cards have a clause that say that they can only target cards that have less than 100 attack or less than 2 preparation timer. So this card would be naturally immune to all mind control and hijack mechanic, besides of course pick-off mechanic that has no limitations like that. What about Poseidon's weaknesses? The most notable one is that you do not see any armored mechanic on this card, making it extremely vulnerable to pick-off mechanics. If you take a look at navy cards and pick the ability tab, you can just select pick off here and find all the cards that are able to eliminate the A1. There are 2 navy cards in set 1 that are able to pick off the A1, namely the ZS Wolf. There's the pick off mechanic, which allows it to eliminate any force it could block. If you would attack with A1, which you usually don't since it has no damage, in any situation ZS Wolf would be able to block it, which means that pick off mechanic would be able to take it down. Additionally, Ajax Ghost Monster has the same mechanics, so it is also able to pick off A1 Poseidon carrier. It's worth to mention that pick-up mechanic is a specified mechanic, so when the card is flipped ready, in case this Ghost Manta is face down and flipped face up, the pick-up fires immediately. If there's a target, that target is eliminated, but if there is no target on the opponent's side that this can affect, the pick-up mechanic doesn't fire. This is really important for a bit later commentary about the A1. Additionally, if you want to go for heavier mechanics and just absolutely assure that cards like this don't see the light of day, there is a VMD that is rather good for this type of situation. It's called Skin of the Spake Strike, which is more expensive to use, this A1, but situationally it might be worth it. That has a pretty easy to understand mechanic, which says eliminate a specific enemy non-leader card. Which means it can even take out face-down cards, believe it or not. And of course it's more than able to take out the A1's Poseidon carrier. When it comes to taking this unit out, be it by attacks or with pick-off mechanics, it's good to keep in mind that the attach mechanic functions the same way as the resource production does, meaning that all the cards this one calls in the field are tied to this card. So if the host card is eliminated, those cards are also affected, and this specifically says that the fighters have to be reattached after every battle or they are eliminated. This, however, creates some interesting game mechanics which you should be aware. For example, should during enemy turn someone use, let's say, the Kinetic Space Strike card I showed earlier to take out this Poseidon carrier, it would mean that while the carrier is out of the game and completely eliminated, the fighters would still be on the field until the end of that player's turn. So should they attack afterwards with air units, you would be completely fine blocking those with the fighters you have left. However, once they end their turn and the battle ends, there is no Poseidon carrier to fighters attach, for the fighters to attach to, meaning the fighters would be eliminated. Additionally, should any wannabe pick-off user want to take out the A1 and you really want to keep it safe, there's an intercard called Security Upgrade, which says attach this to a specific non-soldier force in your legion, enemies can specify. And in Warsaken, specifying also means attacking. If you attack a target, you specify. And if you target a unit with card, you specify. So the clause on the A1, which says that you can attack that card, would effectively be rendered useless. And it would be unattackable, and you wouldn't be able to use pick-off or the Kinetic Space Strike to eliminate it. It's a quite powerful combination if you want to use that card. To sum it up, Poseidon carrying is seemingly not an expensive unit, but since it allows you to call fighter units that are also fairly expensive to play, it effectively pays its own price back, and it allows you to select fighters that suit your situation from your arsenal, allowing you to react to the situation at hand if you have built a versatile deck. It has a weakness of being able to be specified for attacks, meaning forces and cards that target units can eliminate this quite easily. However, if you combine with cards like Security Update, it will completely negate that. It's also fairly simple to hasten this ability, this card with cut corners, if you want to play it faster, and it goes well with a leader like Baron Valorine, who specializes in finding native forces and using them without any costs. Overall, A4 Poseidon Carrier is a fairly useful card if you want to run Navy or Air Force decks, and I recommend adding it to your arsenal. There is a heftier version of this card, which I will cover later, that allows you to take anything, but considering this is fairly cheap compared to that one, it's a good situational and defense force. Since it has 190 health, it can block most of the Navy units should you need to block, and opponent is not targeting this one. So to answer the question, should you Fire Force this card or not, you probably shouldn't. It already has 190 health without Fire Forcing, meaning only Kraken of the Navy forces is able to one-shot this card. And in the situations where opponent really wants to take it out, they usually send more than one force to attack it anyways. You can also negate this weakness by simply using Security Update in your deck, so I recommend using the highest rarity you have on this card instead of Fire Forging it.